Smells like football, baby.
What's up, guys? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Smackdown Waiver Wire Sniping ahead of Week 5. I'm your host, Kyle August. You can follow me on Twitter at KyleMonth8. And man, I can't believe we're a month into the season already, about at the quarter mark of the fantasy season. And hopefully you guys are having a successful year so far. Appreciate you checking out this show. It's been another great week here at the Warzone Network. And we're going to have Sunday School in Memphis tomorrow morning on this YouTube channel that you're watching this right now. So be sure to tune in there. And I'll be back next week on Tuesday on the podcast and here on YouTube with the waiver wire pickups that you need to make. And hopefully it's some of these very names that you already had stashed on the end of your roster. Waiver wire sniping is simply this. You grab these guys, put them on the last spot or two of your roster ahead of kickoff for free. And that way, when everyone's looking for these guys next week, you already have them. You don't need to fret. You don't need to burn your waiver priority. You don't need to spend your fab dollars. So let's get right to it. Let's start with the quarterbacks. Maybe technical error. There we go. All right, top of the board. Still, this guy's been dropped a lot over the last couple of weeks, and I get it. I think this week will be a really good matchup for him against the Giants. So if you were looking for a 2-week stream, I'm okay picking up Jameis Winston. He's at Washington in Week 5. He's 41% owned. We'll say this: I'm not in love with the streamers for Week 5, taking an early look ahead, but Jameis would be at the top of the board for me. I think he's the safest one of the group. Number 2 on this list is Justin Fields. It's still a question whether he's going to get the start this week against the Lions for the Bears, but in Week 5, he gets the Raiders. Now, it is on the road. He's 43% owned, but Fields has been dropped in about 15% of leagues right now after that extremely disappointing Week 3 debut. So for me, Fields is somebody that you keep an eye on in Week 4. If he plays well, you put him on your bench, you keep an eye on him in Week 4. If he plays well, then I feel like he's going to be your highest upside streamer for Week 5. Number 3 on this list is Daniel Jones. He's at Dallas in Week 5, 32% owned. And with that rushing right now, he just, again, it's kind of a safer floor. I don't know if there's somebody with a ton of upside based off of matchup and performance so far in 2021. Stashes, Trey Lance, 31% owned. He continues to be dropped. The minute Jimmy G gets yanked, Lance is going to be highly sought after. So if you have no one else that you need, you don't need a stream quarterbacks, you don't need any of these other players, Trey Lance is a guy that I continue would just put on the end of my bench, see how Sunday goes, drop him if I don't need him come waiver time. So Trey Lance going to continue to push that button. All right, running backs. Some stashes. Now, Michael Carter is 51% owned. He was actually dropped in a few leagues. I think Carter is somebody that what we've seen from the Jets is that he continues to get more and more work. I know it's the Jets. They just came off of 2 tough matchups against the Patriots and the Broncos. Better days ahead for that offense. So Michael Carter needs to be added. I don't know why. He's not a top 15 back, but he should be more closer to 70% owned. He's at 51 right now. Number 2 is Peyton Barber. Not quite sure what the status is of Josh Jacobs. He's unlikely to play in Week 4 as of now. Barber's 35% owned, and it's just a guy that if you need someone to start to plug in, if you're dealing with an injury, that's fine. I don't think he'll do what he did last week. I think it's probably his best game of the year for his performance against the Dolphins, but Barber should still be rostered. We're getting closer and closer to bye week, so this is the type of stuff where you're going to want that depth, and you're going to want to be tuning into this show because we're going to give you a heads up on those as well as we approach those in Week 6. Number 3 on the running back stash list is Marlon Mack, 15% owned. Jonathan Taylor was a little bit banged up, but Marlon Mack was a healthy inactive last week. So we'll see if he's active in Week 4. Regardless, I'm stashing him just to see if the Colts move him to another team. That's pretty much it. He could be a straight handcuff and all that, but it's more of, do they move this guy? Do they actually cut bait with Marlon Mack? Does he get an opportunity elsewhere? Number 4 and 5 on this list are both Patriots running backs. James White out for the year. That passing down work is available. They gave almost no work to Damian Harris last week, and Brandon Bolden, the lifer there in New England, took over those snaps. Obviously, he's been around. He's a great pass protector. The Patriots trust him, but he's been there forever, and they've never really given him the carries, never given him the work, right? He can fill in when needed. That's why he's on the team. He's a great special teamer. I'm going to prioritize J.J. Taylor. He's 2% owned. He got the start over Ramondre Stevenson in Week 2 and 3. So Taylor's only 2% owned. We're going to see, all of us are going to see how this Patriots backfield lines up on Sunday Night Football this week against Tampa, and they're going to be playing from behind. So we're going to see, do they trust Damian Harris in that passing downs role? Do they want to go with J.J. Taylor, or is Ramondre Stevenson back in the good graces? Stevenson's number 5 on this list. He's 10% owned. Everything I just said about Taylor pretty much, but you're just taking a flyer on which one it could be. Deep league stashes at running back. Alex Collins, 1% owned. He's a high-value handcuff, in my opinion. I think he is the guy. Rashad Penny can't seem to find the field. And number 2 is Jeremy McNichols. He's 1% owned as well. He's been getting the work alongside Derrick Henry, but Henry, it would obviously take an injury there. Just deep league stashes, both 1% owned. Wide receivers, my boy Tim Patrick, getting respect on the name, up about 18% in ownership. He's at 40% with KJ Hamler now out for the season with an ACL. Jerry Jeudy probably still about a month away. Tim Patrick has continued to produce, had over 90 yards in week 3. He needs to be rostered. He's only 40% owned. Number 2 on this list for me is Curtis Samuel. He was like a mid-round pick in mid-August, dealt with a lot of injuries. I get it, but this is why you're able to get him, because of those injuries. He was activated off IR this week. He has a shot to play. He's 39% owned. Just slide him on the end of your bench, see what happens if he's available. More widely available is Terrace Marshall. He started cutting into the Robbie Anderson playing time a week ago. With CMC down, I think all 3 Carolina receivers could be in play, but Marshall's a guy that you're betting on the rookie to kind of continue to take that step. Everyone was a little puzzled when the Panthers gave Robbie Anderson that extension in the offseason, so I don't think he gets pushed away as easily, but Marshall's still a talent that I want on the end of my bench. Number 4 on this list, potentially making his debut this week, but returning from IR as well, is Rashad Bateman, 24% owned. Talked about him as an injury stash for the last few weeks, so if you don't already have him, go get him. And number 5 on this list is Jalen Reagor, 22% owned. He's been getting the targets. His numbers week 1 and 3 were startable in deeper leagues. Week 2, he had a long touchdown that he had just stepped out of bounds. Otherwise, that would have been a huge week for him. He's the number 2 target, I think, on this Eagles offense, so I'm going to go ahead and roster him and just see if that trend continues. Some injury stashes. Michael Gallup returning from IR, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. He's 48% owned. Just kind of putting him on the radar. I think that ownership will continue to drop just a bit as we approach the bye weeks. So he's a guy that I just want to pick up and stash. And then if you can stash out players, Elijah Moore's out with a concussion this week. I am obligated to mention his name on every single show. Deep league stashes. Kadarius Toney, 2% owned. He should be filling in this Sunday for Sterling Shepard in the slot. Just see, he's a first-round talent per the Giants, and he's a guy that I would just slide on the end of my bench in deeper leagues. Last 2 on this list are potential guys that could take over for MVS in Green Bay. Valdez-Scantling has been placed on IR. Allen Lazard, moving too fast. Allen Lazard and Amari Rodgers, both owned in 2% or less of leagues. Just take a stash. Just see how that pecking order kind of rolls. I know it's Devontae Adams or bust in that offense, but bye weeks are approaching. You want some depth. Tight ends, streamers. Evan Ingram at Dallas in week 5. He only played half the snaps in his first game back in week 3, but he ran tons of routes and saw a good amount of targets. That's great. We're going to see how this breaks out in week 4. And with all their injuries, I mentioned Sterling Shepard, but Darius Slayton is also out. Kenny Golladay banged up. Ingram is a guy that I think that he definitely should be rostered in more leagues. He's only 36% owned. Get out of the streaming game. Go grab Evan Ingram. See how it breaks down in week 4. I think he's a solid start with all those injuries, but in week 5 against Dallas, who knows who returns? But regardless, I think this is a game that the Giants are going to have to keep up, and Ingram seems to be the tight end there in New York pretty easily, so I like him as the top. Number 2, Dalton Schultz, same game. He's going up against the Giants at home, 30% owned. I think we saw his best game of the year last week. He scored 2 touchdowns, 70 yards, but he is the tight end to own for the Dallas Cowboys, so I'm going to plug him in there. And number 3 is Tyler Conklin. He had a great game as well in week 3, not to the Schultz level, but did see 70-plus yards, saw a touchdown. He's going up against Detroit in week 3 at home. He's 11% owned, and he's a guy that did see 5 targets in each of the first 2 games as well. So I don't think this is just a fluke game for Conklin. I think he's he's probably somewhere in that 12 to 15 range at tight end. So if you're looking for a streamer, I think a matchup against the Lions probably push him closer to 12 in week 5. Deep league stashes, O.J. Howard, 1% owned. Gronk dealing with an injury, doubtful on Sunday night. Number 2, Tommy Tremble, rookie tight end for the Carolina Panthers. They just traded away Dan Arnold. We lost Darnold Arnold. That sucks. But we gained Tommy Tremble. Yes, that's the name, 1% owned. Deeper league stash at tight end. And per request, I'm adding DSTs to this. So I know I've seen a lot of DST questions. I have weeded out a lot of DST leagues, but totally get it. So let's just dive into it. DST streamers. Number 1 on this list, the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, it's not a homer pick. This team is actually tied for the league lead in turnovers so far this season, which is crazy. This is a defense that I didn't come to the season trusting, but Dan Campbell's really turned it around. And I think with the Cowboys going up against the Giants and Daniel Jones, that's at least a couple turnovers that the Cowboys defense can face again. They're only 19% owned. So I'm going to go ahead and add the Dallas Cowboys right now as a streamer for week 5. Number 2 on this list is the Minnesota Vikings. They get the Detroit Lions at home, 16% owned. Not a great unit on the year, but again, a matchup against Detroit should give you at least a couple sacks and turnovers there. And number 3 on this list is the Raiders. They're going up against the Bears at home, 13% owned. Vegas is going to be going after whoever that starting quarterback is there. And this is an offense that just gave up what I'm pretty sure that Justin Fields is still getting sacked as we speak. So there you have it. Appreciate you tuning in to today's show. Again, Sunday School with Memphis on this YouTube channel tomorrow. And then I will be back with the Fantasy Football Smackdown Waiver Wire show on Tuesday morning, getting you set. So good luck in week 4. Go grab all these snipes ahead for week 5, and you'll be sitting back and feeling good that everybody else is scrambling on the waiver wire. So until then, you guys take it easy. Stay safe. I'll catch you later.